Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, we are going to learn about the while loop. In the previous video, we have learned about the for loop and the nested for loop. Okay, so today we will cover the while loop. So let's switch to the board. So what exactly is a while loop? Okay, a while loop is also a loop just like a for loop, but there is a difference. A while loop basically starts with a keyword, and that is while. So while over here is a keyword. Okay, it's a keyword. And then what happens is you have to simply give a condition. So there will be one condition over here, and then followed by colon, and that's it. Okay, so that is while loop, and then the block code starts over here. That's the block code. So you will have the whatever the statements inside the while. Okay, so let us take an example. Just shift this, and we will take an example. So a while loop will start with a keyword, that is while, and I will take a variable, that is a is equal to maybe, okay, 1. And then I say a is less than 5, and then there is a colon. So this is a condition, a less than 5. And then I will say, okay, print maybe a. Okay, and this is the indentation. Now, what is going to happen in this while loop? Okay, the value of a is 1, and I'm checking while a is less than 5, which in this case it is true. Since the value of a is 1, 1 is less than 5, so it will go inside this loop and it will print a. So we will have the output, that is 1. And then from here again the controller jumps up and checks that condition, if the condition is true or not. Since the value of a is 1, again this condition is going to be true, and it is again going to print 1. So what is happening in this particular while loop? This particular while loop will never stop. Okay, will never stop. And such a loop, we call it as infinite loop. Since the value of a is always going to be less than 5, so this is going to keep on printing 1. So what is the difference between a while loop and a for loop? A for loop will go for a fixed number of iterations. So we normally take for I in range, and I take 5, and then whatever the statements I have, I will just take print I. So I know that total number of iterations that this particular for loop has is 5 iterations, right? The 5 iterations. But in this case, since this is an infinite loop, it will not going to stop. Okay, that I gave an example. But the difference between a for loop and a while loop will be, this for loop will go for a fixed number of iterations, and a while loop, okay, will execute till this condition. Till the condition is true, the while loop will go on. So we don't know how many times that iteration is going to happen. Yes, we can do it just like a for loop. For example, like this one, I will take a while loop like I is equal to 1, and I will say while I less than equal to 5, and then what I will do, I will say print I, and after printing I, then I need to increment I by 1. So I will say I plus equal to 1, which is I is equal to I plus 1. So we are incrementing I. Now what is happening? Now there are two statements inside the loop. So yes, the value of I is 1. So 1 is less than equal to 5. So the condition is true. So it will print 1. And then the value of I is incrementing by 1. So I becomes 2. So it will go and check whether 2 is less than 5 or not. Then it will print 2. Since 2 is less than 5, it will print 2. Again, I is getting incremented, and then it will print 3, it will print 4, and it will print 5. When the condition is 5, when the value is 5, 5 is less than equal to 5, it will print 5, and then the value of I will become 6. Okay, the value of I will become 6, and again it will go up and check whether 6 is less than equal to 5 or not. In that case, okay, the condition is false, and then it is going to exit the while loop, and whichever the next statement we have, that particular statement will get executed. So this exactly works like a for loop, right? But there are many situations where we do not know, okay, how many times that loop can go. The loop will go till the time the condition is true, and we need such a situation, we need such a, a tool where a certain condition, okay, the loop should go on based on certain condition. Till the time the condition is true, the loop will go on. Okay, how can we just one example I will give it to this. Okay, and that is, uh, we can, take certain numbers from the user, and we will add those numbers. Now we have done this in the one of the previous video where we used, how many times, or how many numbers does the user want to enter, and then user will be entering those numbers, and using a for loop we used to do that. Okay, so but okay, how we are going to use the while loop and how it is useful, that is an example that I'm going to give it to you. Okay, so let us write one program, and the program will be adding numbers that has been entered by the user. Okay, but after every entry, after every single number that the user is going to enter, we will be asking the user whether he or she wants to continue and wants to add more numbers. Okay, so how we can do that? Now I will take a the while loop. So I will simply take a while loop. Okay, and before that I will have a variable that is choice, and I will give choice as y, a small y, that is the character, right? That is a string. In fact, everything is a string in Python, but yes, that y. And then I will check while choice, that variable, okay, if it is equal to y, and then colon, right? So obviously the value of choice is y, so this condition is going to be true. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use n, and I'm going to accept a number from the user. Okay, so I will use int, then that input. Okay, then that input, and I will say enter a number, right? And then I'm going to declare one more variable, that is total is equal to 0, and this is going to be before that while loop, remember that. Okay, and then I will simply accumulate that numbers into total. So total is like an accumulator. So total, I can write plus equal to, but right now I'm writing it in a simple way. Total is equal to total plus n. Okay, and then I will be using that choice variable, that c is small. Okay, and I will say input. Now I will be only using input. I don't require that int because I'm going to accept a string from the user, and when we need a string we can simply use input, because input function, everything it takes into string form. So I will say, do you want to continue, and that is a message that the user will get. And then we can give the message enter yes or no, whatever it is, right? That's it. So once the user gives y, the input, okay, then it is going to continue. Now how this is going to work? Okay, so I have given total as 0, choice as y, and outside this while loop, I need to print the total. Okay, so the choice will be y, and then the user will be prompted to enter a number. So user will enter a number. Let's say the number that the user entered is 5. Okay, so over here the value of n becomes 5. And then total is equal to total plus n. Now, what is the current value of total? That is 0. So 0 plus 5. Again, I'm giving it to total. So total will become 5, right? And then over here, again, the user will be asked that whether he or she wants to continue. Now, if the user says yes, okay, or y character, then that will be collected in choice. And again, it will jump up and check for that condition, whether choice is equal to y or not. If it is yes, if it is y, that character, then again, it is going to run this statement. So again, it is going to collect a new number from the user. Suppose this time user has given 10. Okay, so the value of n is now 10. And then this statement, total is equal to total plus n. Now, what is the current value of total? 5. So 5 plus, and the value of n is 10. That is 15. I'm giving it to total again. So total becomes 15. And again, there will be a message whether the user wants to continue or not. So what is happening over here? How many times this while loop is going to get executed? It depends on the user. Till the time user says yes, the loop will go on. So this is one of the perfect example why we require a while loop. Till the time user is saying something or applying some condition and that condition is true, okay, giving some certain input and that input is true, that loop will go on. And that is why we require a while loop. In such a situation, we don't really need a for loop, right? We require a while loop. So I hope that this example clears the entire doubt and why we require a while loop. So what we are going to do is we will be just switching to the VS Code and we will just type the program. Okay, so I will take value of I is equal to, I just require total is equal to 0 and choice is equal to y, right? Now, I'm not going to get into the details. If the user gives capital Y, what is going to happen? Simply, if it gives a small y, the loop will continue. Okay, so I will say choice if is equal to y, then I will use an input. Okay, that is enter a, that is enter a number. Okay, and then I will say total plus equal to n, which is total is equal to total plus n. And then I will prompt the user whether the user want to continue or not. So I will simply use the input. Okay, do you do you want to continue? Right? Something like this. So the user gives small s, then it is small y. So it is going to continue. Anything else, the loop will break. So, and that's it. And outside the loop, so I will press the backspace to come outside the loop and will print, I'll give a message. The total is, okay, that is total. Okay. So now I'm going to run the program and here it is. Enter a number. Suppose if I give 5, and now you can see that the message, do you want to continue? If I say y, it is going to continue. Again, that loop is going to run. If I give 5 again, again that loop is going to run. If I say y, then I gave 10, and so on. Now, if I give any other character like n, the loop is going to exit, the loop is going to terminate, and then outside the loop, as we can see that we are printing the value of total. So let us see what happens. And there it is. Total is 20. Perfect, right? That is 5 plus 5 plus 10. So I hope that this video was very much useful. And why do we require a while loop? We require a while loop when we really don't know the fixed number of iterations. We do not have a fixed number of iterations. In that case, we will be using a while loop. And when we know the fixed number of iterations, in that case, obviously we are going to use the for loop. Okay. So the next video will be learning more about the loops, and we are going to cover about the break and the continue keywords. Thank you so much.